AyeSports, it's Friday the 9th of March. I'm Andy Jackson.
And I'm Stephen Wright.
Coming up, we interview the Sunderland physio on her way to the Olympics.
We preview all the latest sporting fixtures for this weekend.
Plus, Calum Hider chats to former Olympic swimmer Chris Cook. But first, yesterday it was announced 4 key players at Rangers will take wage cuts to help the financially stricken club. Stephen Davis, Alan McGregor, Stephen Naismith and Stephen Whittaker have all taken 75% wage cuts.
Meanwhile, Rangers director Paul Murray has announced his intention to make a bid for the club. Murray will make a bid before the deadline this time next week and is one of a number of parties interested in purchasing the club.
We'll have more news in a bit, but first it's time for our interview with former Olympic swimmer Chris Cook. The two-time Commonwealth gold medalist spoke to AyeSports' very own Calum Hider.
As an Olympian, all right, say you're going to obviously the Beijing or whatever, you know, how did you train? What was a day for you like? So you get up at what time and then what would you do?
4:15, used to get up at 4:15, 4:30ish, get a bit of breakfast, although that for me was really hard because I wasn't very good in the morning.
Aren't we all?
Oh, it's a nightmare getting up that time, especially when I was a student, because some of my friends who I used to share a flat with, they'd be just coming in at that time.
Yeah.
So I'd be going out to training and hit the pool for 5:30. You'd be probably shocked to know that I used to get the pool ready myself, so there'd be a handful of people there getting the pool ready. But if we don't get it ready, nobody does it for you, and it's kind of that philosophy. You've just got to roll your sleeves up and get stuck in. Get the pool ready, get in, swim for a couple of hours, get a bit of breakfast, go to uni or college or whatever age I was at, then hit the gym for 2 or 3 hours in the day, and then back again for another 2-hour session on an evening. So it was a massive amount of work alongside life, university, you name it. So I had to make some pretty strong decisions all the way through, good choices. You know, we're all individuals and we're all individuals for a reason, and it's about making those personal choices. A lot of people used to say, oh, you have to be really selfish to be an elite sport, and I've come out the other end and it's not so much selfish, it's about making personal choices, setting those goals and going for them, because you know you only get one crack at life. You might as well make it your own. When I was 10, I swam for the Cubs, Cub Scouts. I know this is going to sound bizarre. Swam for the Cubs and turned up this competition, and all my mates have been saying, oh, we're going to swim at this competition. I wasn't really any good then, but I could swim a couple of lengths. And my friends were like, oh, you know, going to swim at this competition at the weekend. We're going to beat the other Cubs in the region, and it was a blip on the media map. But we get there, and 10 of them dropped out of 12. There was me and one guy, and we had to swim everybody's events.
Did everyone just go,
Yeah. And we ended up dropping out. They ended up dropping out, and I swam all of their events and won all their events, and that supersedes anything that I feel as I've done.
Wow, so
that's bizarre.
Olympic finalist prefers the Cubs.
Yeah.
Remember, you can comment on this and anything else we discuss. Tweet us at AyeSports, like us on Facebook, or go to ayesports.com, where the full interview with Chris Cook is in our extra time section now. And now it's time for your news from the week.
Newcastle United and Sunderland have been charged with misconduct following failing to control their players during the Tyne-Wear derby last weekend. The game, which finished 1-1, was marred by a brawl following a challenge by James McLean on Danny Simpson. There were also 2 red cards and 9 yellow throughout the game. Both clubs have until March 12th to respond to the charges.
Staying with Newcastle, the club announced they were on the verge of breaking even for the first time in their recent history. The club lost just £3.9 million compared to £33.5 million in 2009-10.
Both Manchester United and Manchester City lost in their Europa League last 16 games. United lost 3-2 to Atletico Bilbao, while City lost 1-0 to Sporting Lisbon.
Red Bull boss Christian Horner has warned his rivals that there is more to come from Sebastian Vettel in the coming F1 season. Horner believes the current world champion will be better than ever, but says he expects a closer season this year.
Arsenal were knocked out of the Champions League despite beating AC Milan 3-0 at the Emirates on Tuesday. The Gunners narrowly missed out, needing just one more goal to send the match to extra time. It was a goal too far for Arsenal.
Now it is time for our latest Olympian in our series Olympic Hopefuls. This week we feature Team GB physio Penny Macutkiewicz, and she spoke to Mickey Welsh.
The Olympic and Paralympic team for a number of years now, since 2000, and this is my 3rd Paralympic Games, and so it's a huge honour to go to a home country's Olympics and Paralympics. So
Yeah, the home games was excellent. What was it like having North East athletes that you've been helping out going to the games? How does that feel for you?
Very special. I think that I've been working with these athletes over a number of Olympic cycles now, and so the more I get to know the athletes and the coaches, the more important it is, to be getting it right for them. And a lot of our North East athletes have a really good chance of medaling at the London Games. I see myself more as like, an integral support system, and these athletes are amazingly talented on their own, but we definitely help them stay that way. And if they get injured, it has a massive psychological effect, and so we do all work really closely. And obviously physio is very important.
Definitely. So I know you shouldn't have favourites, but who's your favourite?
No, I really can't say
You've
that.
got to tell us who your
No,
favourite
I
is.
can't say that.
It's Stephen Miller, isn't it?
They're all very special to me. The North East love their sport, and I think that there's definitely an atmosphere building. Right since midnight struck, there's been an atmosphere, and it's just generating a great buzz. And I think that if the North East can get behind our athletes and start to identify with who they are, then it's much more exciting to root for athletes that you kind of know. So when they come back, I'm hoping that the North East will really put on a good celebration for them.
Thanks, Mickey. Now it's time for your sporting previews. We start with AyeSports Game of the Week as Newcastle travel to Arsenal on Monday night. The Magpies have not won in any of their last 3 Premier League games, but can they beat the Gunners? Ash Bevan and Alex Jones have more.
Well, it's certainly going to be a feisty affair at the Emirates this Monday. With the possibility of Champions League still in the balance, Newcastle will certainly look for all 3 points against a resurgent Arsenal side.
We have highlighted a few of the key battles that will make or break the match. Arsenal's Alex Song has had another strong season at the heart of the midfield with an exceptional pass completion ratio and chipping in with 7 assists. If Arsenal are to control the game, it will be all down to the hard work and graft that this man puts in.
Now trying to stop Arsenal from controlling the game will be Cheick Tiote. It was about this time last year that he scored one of the goals of the season to crush Arsenal's hope of winning the title. Now, can he be as effective? Well, the stats suggest that these 2 players will have a lot to say on the outcome of this match, with very similar tackle successes and pass completions. But ask any Newcastle fan, and they will tell you that they just aren't the same team without Tiote.
Speaking of players whose teams aren't the same without, let's move on to Robin van Persie. The Gunners' frontman has scored a fantastic 25 goals in 27 appearances, which is a massive 48% of the overall goals scored by Arsenal players this season. As you can see, he has also contributed with 8 assists, and for me and everyone else has been the Premier League's standout performer.
If any man has the potential to outscore Van Persie, however, it's this man, Demba Ba, currently leading Newcastle scoring charts with a staggering 16 goals in 23 appearances. He has most definitely stepped into the boots that were left by Andy Carroll as he goes from strength to strength. And with the added signing of Papa Demba Cisse, the Geordies are hoping they can find form that will take them up to 4th place. But what do the stats say?
Well, as you can see, they are firmly in Arsenal's favour, with them winning a massive 10 times in 17 home matches. Newcastle, however, will be hoping to shake off their London Blues, which has seen them lose 5-2 to Fulham and 5-0 to Tottenham in recent times.
However, the Geordies will be confident after securing that late point against local rival Sunderland last weekend.
So what's your prediction, Ash?
I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think it's going to be Arsenal win 2-1.
I think it's going to be a very close game, and I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. But whatever the score, it's sure to be an excellent game. Back to you, Andy.
Cheers, guys. Sunderland faced Liverpool at the Stadium of Light on Saturday. The Black Cats will be without the suspended Lee Cattermole and Stefan Sessegnon, who both start bans following being sent off against Newcastle.
In the Championship, Middlesbrough will look to maintain their good form with a win against Leeds United this weekend. Borough brilliantly beat Barnsley last Tuesday and play Neil Warnock's side, who are yet to score since he took over.
In League One, Hartlepool play Walsall at Victoria Park. Hartlepool were narrowly beaten by Huddersfield in midweek and will look to bounce back tomorrow. In non-league action, Gateshead play Braintree Town on Saturday, while Darlington have a tough fixture against Luton Town on Tuesday.
In other sports, the Newcastle Eagles play the Leicester Riders today and play bottom of the table Durham Wildcats tomorrow. Meanwhile, in rugby, the Newcastle Falcons play Worcester in the Aviva Premiership tonight.
That's it for this week. Remember, you can see more of Calum's interview with Chris Cook on AyeSports.com Extra Time. And remember to tune into our radio show this Monday on 107 Spark FM. You can also keep up to all things AyeSports in the meantime on Twitter, Facebook and online. Thanks for watching this week. Me and Steve will see you again this time next week.